How do you stop procrastinating? Again, it is a good question, but loaded. So many ways to look at it. One would be the same advice I gave before, is creating that list of motivators and drivers. Why do you got to get it? And what is it going to cost you not to have it? Right? Because oftentimes people just lack the reasons to get there. They feel like, yeah, this would be nice to have. I wish I had this. I wish this wasn't this way. But first and foremost, step one is people are not really driven and motivated to make it happen. Because if you really were, you would find a way, right? There's this graphic example they sometimes give is like if someone put a gun to your head or your son or daughter's head and told you have to lose 10 pounds by the end of the month, or you have to make an extra $2,000 or whatever, right? You would probably find a way and there would be no excuses, no matter what, right? So I'm not saying, we need to use such extreme examples, but you need to have reasons first and foremost, right? Many people have weak reasons or they don't have any. Most people have never taken the time to write down any of their goals, let alone reasons to achieve it. So that would be, again, step one. I find myself browsing the internet every time. I don't know how to stop. Okay, so that would be the one thing. Step two, I would look at things like what happens before you procrastinate. I think this is very powerful when you start to journal, because you start to notice your patterns and your thoughts, and maybe do it a few times in a row, like 3 times that you procrastinate. Just do it, enjoy yourself. But before you do it, take a minute and just write down in a journal, piece of paper, how did you feel just before you did it? What was your thought process? What was your feelings in the body? And the whole point behind this is you're going to notice there's a pattern. There's a reason why people do what they do. And typically, not always, obviously you're going to have to do this for yourself, but typically I see that when people procrastinate, there's either a negative feeling or sensation in their body, and it's kind of like a form of escapism, right? I want to numb myself. I want to watch TV. I want to get different stimuli, anything, so I don't have to focus on the stressor, so I don't have to feel bad, so I feel better, right? Could be something like that. You may notice there's a similar pattern, right? And or you're trying to avoid pain, right? You're trying to avoid some fear. Maybe I know for myself in the past, whenever there'd be like a stressful time in business or something's going on, sometimes I just feel like I don't want to show up to work. I just want to procrastinate and watch YouTube videos. And then, I would either push through, or if it was like really a lot, I would just do some tapping on it, some memory flipping, right? Especially if it's recurring and if it's a long-term pattern, you probably want to look into the memories behind it, because oftentimes there are, right? These are patterns that we learned in our childhood, and they're always a response to some kind of stimuli, some kind of emotion that's happening. And again, procrastination typically is a form of escapism. So you just have to ask yourself and journal, what is it that you're trying to avoid? What is it you're running from? Is there fear? Is there stress around it? And then there's a couple other approaches, but I would just recommend these 2, 3 to start and go from there. You go to the Chrome extension store free of charge, and you get some complimentary extension. One is DF2, distraction free YouTube. So when you go to YouTube, it's going to get rid of the recommendations and similar videos, stuff like that. So you really only look at the video you want it to look at, and you don't go down this deep rabbit hole of looking at cat videos on a Sunday evening, right? So that saves you time, that keeps you focused. Another one, kill newsfeed for Facebook, right? The newsfeed is literally made so that we stay glued to it. Same with Instagram, by the way. You keep scrolling and you never leave, because the more you spend, time on the platform, the more ads they can serve you, the more money they make. So this was all designed in a way to get you hooked and addicted. So if you can get this app, you can still use Facebook to its full potential, Messenger, this and that, because I use it too for business, but I don't have a newsfeed, right? So I don't get distracted from people posting stuff, and I just use it for business. Last one, there's another one called Block Site extension. Again, it's free. They do have paid versions, but you don't need to get them. And you just put in all the websites that you don't want to access. You put in a time. I would recommend set up a schedule. So like, hey, I'm not going to visit Instagram and Facebook and whatnot till, every 5 days a week till 5 p.m., right? While I'm working, when I'm supposed to be doing productive stuff, I cannot physically access it. And you can set all sorts of rules and passwords, you name it. But you just install these things. And here's why this is a great thing. It takes minutes and it's free to install. So you take once 5 minutes of your time to get these things done, and it'll save you a ton of time and distraction in the future. So if you haven't already, and if you struggle with, distractions, procrastination, or just bad time management, this is the easiest thing you can do and is super, super helpful. So I would highly recommend it. Anybody that's my client or in business, I always recommend these things to them, because I know in business it's just easy to kind of waste a lot of time, especially if you don't have a boss. So you kind of need to hold yourself accountable. And these are some of the tools that I use.